This is Jack from BCO Farm. It's January 2nd, 2017. Hard to believe another year's gone by, and I thought I would do a quick walkthrough of the Swale project because it's raining today. So I don't know how long I'll be able to stay out here, but this is kind of interesting. You can see over here that our huge pile of wood chips is almost gone. We've really gone through a lot of them. Jono's been busy spreading wood chips on the swale berms. Over here's a little experiment we did this year. It's a rectangular area between some of our fruit trees that's sheet mulched and got heavy wood chips, and we're just going to let them break down and consider doing some experimental gardening here. It'll take a while for them to break down, so it might not be this spring we use it, maybe next spring. But over here is the swale, and you can see, it's hard to tell from the camera, but the driveway slopes down towards the entrance to the swale. It's actually a low spot in the driveway, so water runs in from both directions. And right here, it runs into the swale. So we're actually getting a lot of runoff from the concrete driveway, as well as all of this upper area that tends to run off and run onto the driveway. Of course, the reason we're doing all this is because this whole area has very poor topsoil. It's literally about a half an inch of poor soil and then red clay. I don't know if the area was farmed a long time ago or if it's just years and years of runoff washing away the topsoil, but everything about this is to build the soil, and of course we're growing the fruit trees. But there you can see the swale has a fair amount of water in it. The lower swale has not filled up today. It hasn't rained hard enough to fill the upper swale to the point where it would overflow at the spillway, but we'll walk over here and take a look at that. These cages are around my honey locust trees to keep the critters from eating them. I grew those from seed last year, so hopefully they'll take off and grow a lot faster this year. So here's somewhat the middle of the upper swale. You can see that it continues on over that way toward the house. Right here's the spillway, so we have a long way to go. We're probably 4 or 5 inches away from overflowing into the spillway. There's a lot more rain predicted tonight, so I'm hopeful. And then here is the pond project. The water level's pretty high. So far I haven't had to add much water to it. It's holding its water fairly well, so the work I did to seal it seems to be holding up. That is the connecting, just a short connecting swale, so if we do get water running down the spillway, it's going to come down through this grassy area, drop into the connecting swale, fill the pond, and then there is a small spillway. If it gets up to that level, it should start overflowing down into the lower swale. There's my observation chair. It's really relaxing just to sit out here and look at the work we've done. So that's one end of the lower swale. That's the other end. See, you can see we've done a lot of sheet mulching below this swale berm also. That lower area is where Jono did a lot of sheet mulching the last few days. We try to get about 8 or 10 feet of the downhill slope below the berm sheet mulched, just to suppress grasses, and then start building the soil for the berries and other plants we'll put there. Then this entire area between the upper and lower swale is all sheet mulched, and it's compost, wood chips. And a lot of little various types of fruit trees, and it's kind of hard to see today, but this whole area is red raspberries. One little plant grew and just took over a whole area, and I'm happy to let it do it. And I'm so happy with the way these fruit trees have done. So these trees here were planted last February or March, so they've been through one summer season. And then those trees are the ones that are 1 year older. They were done around February of 2 years ago, and the growth in comparison is really good. And then all of those trees down there are also planted about 10 months ago. So I'm hopeful that they will all show the kind of growth that these second year plantings did this year. And we've done a lot of wood chip mulching in other areas. Don't have a definite plan for what's going to go into some of those areas, but I know they need soil. So whatever we decide to put there is going to benefit from the soil we're putting on the ground and building up. There's an old poplar log that started to break down in the woods, and I just threw it on there. Just let it do its thing right here in the pond area. So that's it. Just wanted you to see how the swale works when it's raining. Over on the other end, the gutters from the house actually feed into the swale on that end. And the two ends of the swale are connected, but the trench is not as deep all the way across. So the idea is I don't want the two sides to share water unless they're really full, because it turns out the other end of the swale over there, the ground is much more porous. We think the people who owned this house before us, we've been here over 10 years, but we think they brought in a lot of soil around the house and did landscaping. So the water that goes into the swale over there soaks in a lot quicker, where over here it was all hard clay when we started. So if we had the swale the same depth the entire length, essentially that end of the swale would rob all the water from this end. So by having the connector in the middle be not quite as deep, if it gets full they'll share, but when they start to soak in, once it gets down to the level of the connector, they won't share anymore, and so we can't have one end stealing all the water from the other end. That's the idea. So I'm starting to get a little wet. That's probably enough for now. More later, but for now, this is Jack from BCO Farm. Thanks for watching.